Okie dokie.
Yes.
Are you gonna hold that the whole time?
No.
No. Okay.
That's what she said.
And welcome into the Big Book Podcast for August 9th, 2024. I'm Automaton 2000, and I'm sure you're all wondering, hey, where did the Big Book guys go? Well, apparently the 4x100 shot put medley is not a real Olympic event, and so that was 3 months poorly spent, but we're back and swoller than ever to tackle some Star Trek timelines. You know, they say chicks dig the long ball. Well, 40-year-old balding men dig the long episodes of the Big Book Podcast, so we're going to try and hit the time limit this week. We're checking in on Nifty Mittens' Tears for Beers. He's traveling abroad. We'll check in with him. Talking about the new and upcoming Void/Gauntlet event type and all the crew you'll want to have ready for that. Checking in on the guys' real lives for a change, and then hitting a bunch of the recent legendary crew per usual. But first, on a serious note, the reason the five of us are together today recording, some very real, living, breathing people that have worked on the Big Book are having some very difficult times right now. The first, fourth, and seventh most handsome members of our group are all dealing with some serious health matters and family issues. So from the Big Book family to you guys, from myself, from all the guys here, we wish you health and happiness. We are always available to you, and I hope things start looking up. Here to ostensibly intensify those well wishes, Mr. Genos, Adanian Genos. How are you doing?
Doing very well. Enjoying my day, enjoying my summer shandy, and it's made by Leinenkugel, which is really fun to say. It has nothing to do with Kegels, but everything to do with lines.
All right, our 96% male audience doesn't know what Kegels are, so you'll have to explain that to folks later. Also joining us, someone who I briefly hated in 2018 for a botched Reddit giveaway, but I now wish would call me his son, the artist formerly known as Frank. How are you doing today, Frank?
Well, son, I'm back from the store. I bought the cigarettes, and I just need gas money. That's the only reason I'm back. Happy to have the band in some form back together. This is kind of like a reunited Beatles, but with some different members. But you'll still see them on tour. And then when you account for Otto's intro of we're missing the seventh most handsome, and this is an 8-person squad, I'd like to kick it over to number 8. On the handsome scale.
Yeah, that's me.
My segues will be Abbey Road because you guys will be walking all over him today. Up next, the man with the chatter. He literally has a bladder. Here's your co-host, Captain Idle. How you doing, buddy?
Whoop whoop. Yeah, I'm okay. I am also on the beer train tonight, drinking a wonderful tin of Sup. Which I think pre-show you were saying something completely different because the camera wasn't reversed. But yes, I am doing very well. Excited to be talking about Star Trek Timelines, a game I've not played in 6 months.
You know, this is only your second appearance on the show.
That's true. That's very true.
So make the most of it.
It's going to be top 2 for
talk
sure.
All over you. Got it.
And least but not last, coming to you from Seedy Motel in downtown Kilkenny, and without your girlfriend in tow this time, Nifty. I know Kate is not among our listenership, so is it nice to be able to leave the hotel room on time, or do you miss her on this trip?
I do miss her on this trip. This trip was actually inspired by her, and now she's really jealous and jokingly regrets suggesting that I do this. I'm not, in fact, in Kilkenny. I'm in Inverness, Scotland at the moment, although I did start the trip in Ireland. Visited my cousin there, and then came over to Scotland because I'm currently fun employed, so I'm putting the fun in fun employment. And I just decided, well, let's go somewhere cool. And I wanted to go to Scotland, so here I am in Scotland, just sort of doing my own thing. Earlier today, I was at the northernmost village of mainland Britain, and saw no puffins. I was hoping to see puffins. I didn't. So, 0 out of 10, don't recommend coming to Scotland. But otherwise, it's good.
No puffins, fuck this country.
Exactly. There were supposed to be puffins up there. So I'm currently drinking Brewdog Double Hazy Jane.
Oh.
This trip has been filled with cask ales. I do enjoy some scotch. I don't like the smoky stuff, so I've had a little bit of whiskey, but honestly, I've just been drinking cask ale this entire time, and switching to the cans to do this show.
All right. I promised folks Tears for Beers. So do you have a rundown list, or did you not take it serious? Did you not take time out of your vacation to write all these down for everyone?
I will say that if you bear with me, I can run off some of the best beers I've had so far.
Oh yeah.
None of them have been bad. Some of them have just been kind of like, eh.
Now, we do have a panel of experienced experts here to give the 1 to 10 Olympic rating, so...
We call it aggressively average if they're meh, remember?
Oh, of course.
I'm on my third liver. Larry Hagman and I trade on weekends.
Oh, speaking of Olympics and your joke to open up the show, there is actually a thing called, generally I believe it's called the throwers relay. Usually it's called the Fat Man relay by the people in the stands, though. It's where they take people at the end of a meet that were all involved in shot put, discus, etc., and they make 4x4s out of them, and you watch the very large people run around the track, and it's entertaining.
You would think I would know about an event named after me, but I've never heard of it before, so thank you for enlightening the viewership.
It's definitely not an official sanctioned event, but many times in college and in high school, we had those.
Is this before or after the cask strength ales you've been imbibing?
I wasn't drinking much cask strength beers in high school, unfortunately.
Okay. Unfortunately.
Okay, what do we got here? Some highlights of the beer so far. Lancaster Black from Lancaster Brewing, which actually is English, not Scottish. It's a stout. That was pretty tasty.
We need tier numbers, Nifty.
Oh, sorry. Well, am I tiering them relative to each other or relative to all the beer I've ever had?
I couldn't care less, but we got to get a number for the viewers.
It's all the beer I've ever had. I mean, nothing's tier 1 on this trip yet. I've had a lot of beer.
Hang on. I have to do the auto thing. Introducing Lancaster Black, a British stout for the discerning beer lover. This jet black brew is a complex traditional dark beer with subtle hints of coffee and dark chocolate.
That's good.
I'd say it's a pretty solid tier 4. It's your standard everyday Voyager. I mean everyday beer. So I could happily drink that on the daily. What else do we have here that was pretty
That
good?
intro is probably better than the beer was, by the way. So if you're quick on Google, keep
I like
pulling
a
up
good
those
chocolate
descriptions.
Stout. Chocolate stouts are great.
He uses Bing, okay?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, New Relic from Stewart Brewing is an American-style IPA, not from America. And they did a really good job of nailing that very much an American-style IPA. British IPAs,
Brewing, yeah.
for those that don't know, British IPAs are much more mild. They're not as hoppy. This one was, if I would blind tasting it, I think it was some beer from Washington State or California. That was pretty
There's
good.
no
That was
description on
more
their
like
website, so trash.
tier.
Oh no, wait,
let's call
there
them
it is.
tier 5.
A full-flavored IPA showcasing the trademark stone fruit and blueberry flavors of Mosaic hops.
And let's see. From Black Isle Brewery, which is probably a stone's throw away from here. I think I could throw a rock that far. Hibernator Oatmeal Stout was also quite good. That's probably a tier 4 as well. It was on the strong side too. They wouldn't even let me get a whole pint. 7%. They wouldn't let me buy a whole pint.
Oh really? I've had 7%.
I know, right?
Oh, weird.
2/3 of a pint. I bought a 2/3 pint.
Oh,
I wish
okay,
I was joking. That's literally like the official amount they gave me was 2/3 of a pint.
Yeah, I went to a beer festival like years ago, and they would give you like a platter of thirds to try them, because obviously you've got like so many beers to try. You don't want to have them in pints because you'll just have 2 beers and you'll be pissed. But you'll have like a set of thirds, so you can just try a little bit one. But this was a premium smooth roast coffee and chocolate oatmeal stout with light hoppiness. This organic stout uses 6 different malts to make up a malt bill, with oats giving mouthfeel, with a few hops chucked in for the hell of it. This beer is all about the malts and the big, rich beer.
And I
Should've
think
got
the last
Franklin,
highlight
actually.
I'll point out, Schilling Brewing Company in Glasgow. I had a tasting flight there.
Can you give your shilling
and-
rating, please?
Yeah, I'd say as a brewery, it's again like tier 4. Like I could drink their beer if I saw their beer elsewhere. I would get it on tap. I wouldn't necessarily hunt it down, but I would happily get a pint of any one of their beers. Again, I tried 4 of them. They were all delicious. Nothing to wow me, but I'd grab a pint of it if it was down the street for sure.
I was having a good conversation with Louisa's aunt. She came to stay with us for a bit, and we were talking about drinking things like that. And I was like, yeah, I've had all these like nice beers and things like that. And she says, generally with beer and wine, after the first 2 pints, half a bottle of wine, doesn't really matter what the beer is after that, because you're not really tasting it. You're just like, oh, more beer, fantastic. And I was like, actually, I kind of agree. Like, you have your first beer, the nice one, and after that, yeah, whatever.
So that's the problem with all these pints. especially here, the beer's weaker here on average. Like a lot of the beers are 4%, 4.5.
Yeah,
Um,
I'd say.
So I'm used to drinking much stronger beer, so I can have pint after pint, and the limit is just like, oh, I'm full. I should stop having beer. Not I'm drunk. I'm just, oh, I'm full.
I remember getting a beer subscription box, and I'd let them pile up and stock up for a bit, and then one day I was just like, right, I just need to get through these beers. Let's go through them. So I started like lowest percentage and ended the highest percentage, and that was a mistake because the only beers I had left were like about between like 9 and 14%. I'm like, I don't want to drink these, but I don't want them on my shelf anymore.
Jeez.
Hell yeah, that's my kind of style. Those double-digit stouts is the way to go.
Now, in honor of Stars and Garters, have you had any sparkling waters while you've been there?
Have I? I don't think so.
Spritzers,
I generally
club
stay away
sodas?
from fizzy water
No.
in general.
Okay.
I said in general twice, now 3 times.
Well, in general, that's a phrase that kind of encompasses everything generally. So, okay, you can't nod with this. We're doing a podcast.
Oh, right,
It's-
right. Big Book Plus subscribers watched me nod
streaming?
in agreement.
All right, that's enough out of Nifty. Do we have any alcohol-related content before we move this on? All right, guys, you can't nod once again. Forget it.
Well, I'm going to go to a distillery tomorrow afternoon. I don't know which one yet, but I'm going to go to a distillery. So, there.
Okay, well, let's distill this conversation back to the essentials. What you guys are really tuning in for. I love that of acknowledgement to that great segue. The upcoming Voyage event. Now, they did say, they live streamed, I believe, that at the end of June. They said they were looking to test this event at the end of August to everyone. I don't know at the time this goes out if we have anything more on that date, but we've all watched the video up on their YouTube, so we're going to distill that down for you, save you having to watch that slideshow.
Alrighty, hello everybody. Welcome to the stream. We have recently upgraded our streaming tech.
Uh-oh, did we lose the stream? Some people are asking.
I just refreshed the page.
Yes. So, yeah. Yeah.
This is to test out the new mechanics and make sure things are running smoothly.
Guys, what is your first impression of the... obviously, they're going to repurpose a lot of assets, so it looks a lot like a Voyage and a Gauntlet had a love child or a hate child. What was your first impression when you saw this video?
I really hope Ben can afford better internet one day.
I remember when he did the first stream, and he first streamed stuff out to us, and it was going at 2 frames per second. He's like, I don't know what's wrong. I said, it's because you're streaming on just a basic Mac. You need a better laptop to be able to send video and your face.
Well,
Years later, it's not any better.
he's got a 28.8 dial-up. He hasn't even gone to 56K. And I mean, in this day, really, if you're gonna use AOL, use 56K. I mean, really, they're not that expensive. The modems are like $200. It's fine.
Got a stack of CDs on his desk with just all the free trials he's used up every stream.
They're floppies.
He wasn't standing up, so I couldn't tell.
Okay.
Only when it's cold. So, to answer your question seriously, I mean, I applaud that 9 years into this game that there's development, and for non-Big Book Plus subscribers, I am using air quotes around the word development. We are getting a new event type finally after it's been cried for years and years and years and years. But it is, to your point, Otto, a rehash of existing assets. It's a Voyage that you send out, not with crew that you're using anywhere else because these are locked to this. But it's a Voyage that randomly, as far as we can tell, has a gauntlet. And if you have your phone down and in your pocket and you only check in every couple hours, how's that going to go? Do you have to actually be staring at a screen for 24 hours during the event to catch all the little gauntlets that happen? We don't know.
Well, I believe it may have been Ben mentioned during the stream that something about waking up and having 3 or 4 encounters, they're calling them, the dilemma type gauntlets sort of stored up. So you may be able to collect a few of them if you're away from your phone at one time. We don't know that yet, but that's from what he said, the assumption. Any other first thoughts, guys, about the more air quotes new game mode?
I was trying to work out if I am like disappointed or just whelmed by this kind of like announcement of like, okay, it's a Voyage event. Like we, I think back in the early Q&A days on Timeline Talks, we sort of seeded that in there when people were asking, oh, what about a Voyage event? And like, yeah, okay, this is what could they have done with it? What could they have done with it? And they said like early days, yeah, we're gonna have this voyage go on, and you're gonna have to do things in the middle. And I was like, oh, maybe it's away team, and yeah, maybe it's Gauntlet, and it's I knew it was coming. I knew it was gonna happen. It's just that kind of reaction to think like, oh, they haven't done anything new, and they haven't done anything in the new with games since ISM, since the Celestial Market, essentially. So I don't know. It's expected. I don't know if it's gonna be. It's gonna be interesting to see how it plays out with the community and how they react to getting those scores, and how people will be obsessed, like looking at the phones or setting timers or setting alerts and saying, I need to check this once in a while and do these gauntlets. And also, what kind of crew you're going to send. That's the more interesting part of this for me, is what crew you're going to send on a gauntlet, because that does actually appeal to me in some ways, saying that, hey, we're going to get these crew from the game with gauntlet proficiencies that weren't your average Voyager, that you'll actually probably prefer to send on these Voyage events than your usual fencing Picards, Braxtons, the usual, the old top 20 back in that day.
Yeah, I can tell how long you've been out of the game. I think Braxton's like 160 or something, but
yeah, he's well low now.
Hashtag Stars was right.
Oh, by the way, since I know he's not going to listen to this, I can reveal now. I said I was going to take in my grave. I fucking lied. He never froze Braxton. He used him, even though he pretended he hated him, but he still used him anyway. That sneaky son of a gun.
I bet you have a deep as well.
I'm going to get angry DMs from him later, but... Nifty, Genos.
Should I tell him to come out of the other room and that he's been here the whole time?
Why am I not surprised that you guys met at a hotel somewhere in Ireland? By the way, we're not going to help our 96% male viewership with this sort of disgusting locker room talk. Genos, Nifty, do you have any first impressions for this new game mode?
I mean, the very first impression was like, ooh, exciting, something new. And then the reality is, oh, something not terribly new, just repackaged with a bow. I'm still, I don't know, maybe because, if you expect little, it's easier to not be too disappointed. I'd say
Never
that
dream, son.
Just the idea that like we do have a new event type, sure, doing things we already do in the game, yeah, but just it's a little bit different, so that it's the tiny bit of extra freshness. It's a sprig of mint in this game, I guess.
Given
point,
DB, TP, HP, whatever they're called now, track record with running new things that work instantly, do you think this first Voyage event is going to go to plan?
I think they planned for it to go to shit, and there you will be right.
I hope it brings back the stuck Voyage bug, and people get real upset about it.
Oh my god!
I live for the chaos.
To your point before about interesting ways to use crew that in your mind are still relevant, but the rest of us know aren't. I think perhaps like a good plan will start being, you take your really good gauntlet guys and you equip them up a ton so that they're also getting all the stats for Voyage. Meanwhile, their proficiencies that are already great are getting further boosted. I could see that being kind of the gut thing for people to do. It'll be interesting because the whole, your crew are being used up, you can't use them elsewhere. For players with even just like mid-game roster depth, it might get interesting. This is another thing that will take up your crew, because depending on the event, you can always say, oh, well, this is just going to be an 8-hour or a 10-hour voyage that I'm going to send out. I can't put all my good guys on that. I need them for this event. Well, now it'll be interesting to see how the dynamics of Gauntlet and this event. I'm assuming, I don't remember from the video, are normal voyages not happening while this event is on?
No, you run both simultaneously, but just like in Voyages and Shuttles, any crew that you send out during this event can't be used elsewhere. That's right.
Exactly. Okay, so then there we go. Like players without the deeper rosters. Like now you're being double dipping on voyages plus, probably playing Gauntlet during this too. So
It
crew
also opens up.
distribution,
Sorry.
continuum missions, like that. This is where I think it's going to be interesting.
It
People with deep
also-
rosters, long-term
Sorry.
players, we can kind of wing it, even if it's not optimal. We can just be like, good enough. But it's going to be some hard decisions. I think it'll be interesting to see how the community sort of builds a strategy and gives out advice. How we hopefully give out advice for people when we can kind of pick this apart.
No advice given. You will be left in the dust.
Well, we know Data Core will have a tool pretty quickly on how to staff your Gauntlet event voyage optimally or something.
Wait, did you
And,
say
like,
Gauntlet?
Yeah, I'm
Oh, I like
workshopping
that.
it, either Gauntlet or Goyage.
Goyage. Aren't they the guys that sell kidney beans in the store? Goyage.
I say
Yes.
Goyage is the Hebrew term.
Yeah.
Moils
so my-
everywhere have cheered that they're finally getting some recognition on the Big Book podcast.
Right.
All right, now hold on. Now
How about-
we've cut off the poor idol like 18 times in a row. So why don't you
No,
finish
it's fine.
your
It's
thought
fine.
here?
I just want to interject with a joke.
Well, now
which is-
wait. Hold on a minute.
Not while I'm
the fact
drinking,
of the matter
Frank.
is. No, it's just magic. Bing bong, clean up of Goyage in aisle 3. It's kind of expanding what you were saying, Nifty. Is like people with like middling rosters or people that are still struggling to come up with the concept of basic retrievals is they're going to struggle if you're not got the latest and best crew in a competitive environment. Even if you're just trying to go for 1/500, which most people that have been playing at least 2 years can probably achieve with a little bit of effort. Introducing Voyage, where you need the best crew to go on it, Equipment, where you need to spend resources to then boost them up, and then Gauntlet on top of that, which is a competitive thing, is going to add to the tensions of people that will literally fail at this. Skirmishes, galaxies, factions, it's a matter of pacing yourself, time, and putting in the effort. This has genuine fail conditions that probably will frustrate people, which in some ways is good competition, but on other ways is a bit like, well, this is a free-to-play mobile game. Do you really want to get this upset about it? What am I talking about? Of course you do.
community.
Get angry, get pissed, go on the forums.
You're part of the discords and the forums, or used to be. People definitely
Right.
get it.
Yeah, my initial thought is I'm happy to have a new event type in the rotation because expedition events are unfortunately never coming back despite all my best efforts and wishes. I know everyone's happy except for me.
Whoop,
and
whoop.
I
You
think-
mispronounced fortunately there.
Right. Yes, I did. It's because I was working on my Scottish accent. I didn't ken how to say it. Anyways,
I think if expeditions had the portmanteau of Goyage, you might get a little more. You might get a little more people turning out to support that cause.
yeah, I think I'll echo some of what Nifty said, our dear Canadian Scotsman. I think we're gonna see people just equip up their Gauntlet crew, get them to be passable Voyagers, and since it seems like a lot of the gameplay has to do with passing, those encounters that you're going to be coming up with periodically. Sure, you can have throw all your top 30, top 40, top 50, top 100 Voyagers out there, but if they don't have strong proficiencies, you're going to fail those encounters, and you get penalties, you lose antimatter. But you can get a passable Voyager just by equipping even one of these newer Gauntlet crews what they debut in like the 300s or 400s in overall Gauntlet. But, one or two equipment is going to get them to be serviceable, and, that'll get you going.
Did they say anything about increasing rewards over time? Because what's stopping someone just saying launching a 15-minute voyage, getting that first Gauntlet hit, and then coming back and then relaunching again and just doing that over and over?
Multipliers. There are
Is there a
multiplier.
multiplier? Okay.
Yeah.
There's a victory point combo multiplier as you pass these Gauntlet checks,
Right,
and
that's
they
what I
seem to carry over through encounters as well. So if you can keep beating them 2, 4, 6 hours at a time, theoretically, from what we understand, the VP gain would continue to increase.
Yeah, and I think they even continue on if you recall your voyage due to like low antimatter. And if I remember correctly, I think the recall might be immediate and out another voyage, right? Gone, whatever, right away.
Yeah, they did say that the recall wouldn't have cost, I don't believe, but you can use voyage tokens and dilithium to extend the voyages. All right, sorry, Goyages. I got to get used to the.
Yeah.
We might finally get a sponsor.
It's another pay to win angle like factions. Because I say like skirmishes, galaxies, you can tap like mad and win them. This is another certain fleets that will go in and just smash lithium. I mean, it's gonna be interesting. Go back to my point of like just launching a quick voyage, doing a gauntlet, coming back. I wonder if there's going to be like a victory point over time thing they've allowed for. Maybe it'll work out better just sending 2-hour voyages and then recalling them and doing that as opposed. And the amount of time to victory points might accrue differently. I wonder the strategies will be interesting to see.
So I'll say I can't believe I'm the most positive on this feature so far out of the 5 of us, but I think it's pretty interesting. It's got, first of all, I think the new player anti-bias is overblown, because forever they've not been able to compete right out of the box. That's just not how the game works. Gauntlet is hard to break into. And then we got Celestial Marketplace, and hey, you can retrieve Gauntleteers, and people are forever complaining, but it burns through all my credits. I can't get enough credits to retrieve crew. That's hard for me. They keep extending collections, and people complain there. Well, now the whales have 5, 10, 15% chance advantage. When they added fleet boss battles, how long it takes to get a ship to level 10, well, sometimes over a year. So everything they introduce is going to be hard for the new players, but they've just outright stated that they are making this game for the veteran, the elder, the long-time player who have committed, financially and time-wise, and they are the most lucrative source for them right now. So I think, obviously, like we said, if you can keep recalling these 2-hour voyages, you can still contribute from a new player point of view. The proficiency values they showed, like 1 to 300, you can pass that with, a couple super rares. So you'll be able to do something out of the box. So I think that's a little overblown. I like, actually, that we've been asking for years, give us something more to do with our crew, not just the same 12 over and over. The fact that these lock them out means if you want to send your best Voyagers on a Goyage, you can't use them on your regular voyage too. So there's 12 more crew you got to pick. If you can't use them in Gauntlet, and that's important to you, maybe you're missing the new exclusive, well, then you have to decide how to allocate it there. So that basically adds 12 more seats to the end of your bench, more crew that you're going to be able to use, and I like that. I also like that it's apparently resource positive. You're going to get credits and trainers and crons and the normal voyage drops from the Goyage too, from what we see. That they may not scale quite as well as regular voyages, but another avenue for people to get these resources to level up their crew. So I'm seeing a lot of positives here. And yes, they did ruthlessly steal from their own homework here to repurpose stuff. But, when you fire 60% of your staff at the beginning of last year, I'm actually surprised that they're still producing quote-unquote new content. So, yeah, I'm pretty excited. I don't know if, I don't know how much time I'm going to be putting into it, but I think if I were a player who enjoys Voyages and or Gauntlet, I'd be looking forward to this.
Yeah, it's interesting to say, looking at this from the outside, because as the back finally broke for me, and I kind of just went, you know what, got better things to do in my time. I think Gauntlets were the event I liked the least, and Voyagers were at least semi-automatic. Like log in, pop your head in once every 2 hours, hit the button, and move on. To have, I know events are meant to be a little bit of a slog, and we want a little bit of dynamism in them, and I'm just looking at something like from someone as a low effort player, and when I was a low effort player, looking at something that is that much intense for perhaps a middling gold, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see it for the novelty of it, and like you say, Otto, the strategies are going to be interesting. It's going to be like the early days of boss battles. That was a genuinely interesting time in the game where people were coming up with different combinations of crew to use to try and get the max amount of damage, or that's when people worked out how to do like hull extensions and things like that. It's going to be interesting to see someone come up with the idea of this crew are both like Voyagers, and they are both like amazing Gauntleters. They're going to be the ones to put in. Did they ever say if there's going to be anything to do with traits in it? Because that would be an interesting...
Yes, they're going to change based on the event. So if the event is, say, Federation bonus, you might see a lot of Federation and Starfleet type traits pop up for crit, which scales, I believe, 5%, 20%, 50%, something like that. So it's not quite the same as normal Gauntlet, but there will be crit values there. Let's talk about strategy. Before I get there, I want to throw out a few little keys to how this works for everyone out there. there is no fatigue system, really. When you hit an encounter or a dilemma, as you know them, you get matched up, I think, between 4 and 6 consecutive gauntlet battles. And there's no fatigue system. If you use a crew, then they're out until the end of the encounter. They're locked. You can use dilithium to revive them, but you're going to want good skill coverage because you may need to hit 6 different gauntlet matchups in a row. Now, what happens is it chooses either 1 or 2 skills that you're matched up against, and whichever skills you don't use from your crew get a percentage buff for all the future matchups in that encounter. So let's say you have a 6 gauntlet matchup encounter, and you have, let's say, engineering and command. Now, if you use your caretaker and you pass the node, you're going to get a buff to science and medicine for the rest of that encounter for the next 5 battles. So it looks to me to be very favorable to big single rolls. If you can beat someone with one roll, you're going to get 2 skills boosted for the rest of the encounter. And also skill coverage is obviously important. So that all being said, you guys talked a little bit about strategy. If you think equipping Gauntleteers is the way to go, I'm thinking I'm just going to have, you might want to have just enough gauntlet capability to get you through, because if you get these buffs as you go along, you may not need super equipped out, top of the line Admiral Blacks. You may just need to hit the right nodes in succession to boost all of your kind of middling Gauntleteers and save all of those crew choices for the best voyages to get really long 12, 14-hour voyages in your Goyage. This is so confusing already.
I just want to say I ran downstairs knowing I had a can of Goya beans so I could bring it up and we would be officially sponsored. And it turns out, in fact, no, it was Kroger beans, which showed that my brain is further going. And while standing at the cans, I then decided to start making a grocery list, forgetting I was doing this podcast. I think, so based on what we know, what we know may change and might have just been an example, but in the slideshow, PowerPoints that they showed us, the final, quote, boss of each gauntlet run was a Borg Queen that had dual 800 bases, or 800 rolls, basically.
Right.
If you pick a Gauntleteer equipped, and by the way, I know it's going to hurt a lot of players that aren't heavy into equipment or are new, you're going to want to use equipped crew for this. That's going to be your key to success, kind of. But if you don't want to take, to your point, a dripped out Admiral Black with 1,300 rolls on all 3 skills, you can take more of a standard crew that's got a couple of equipment on them, because each nice piece of equipment adds, let's say, 200 to the base. And you have to also assume that you're going to get that buff from succeeding on previous nodes that's going to give you more of a multiplier. So your 400 or 500 roll is now actually 800 or 1200. And you can easily best that Borg Queen. You don't actually have to bring a base 800 to try and match 1 for 1. That's what we think. We don't know. We'll see. That's what I'm going with.
I feel like I might want to start with equipped gauntlet crew to see how easy it is, and if it's like child's play, then you can take a step back and be like, all right, I want a little bit of a stronger Voyager, but I'm going to throw some equipment on them. Maybe a Dexa, for example, who's a serviceable gauntlet crew, still a good Voyager, a good skill set. You can use a Dexa instead of bringing Caretaker, for example. Caretaker who can't voyage for crap.
Could this be the era of Captain Beverly Picard? Could this be a shining moment to command Med?
Hold on,
bad gauntlets rolls.
I got to look up this voyage,
shining moment.
Voyage rank.
Could be, middling crew that needs to succeed.
It's gonna be like 700, isn't it?
Oh, only ranked 620, so that's not bad.
Oh well, that's not too bad.
Wow.
Top 625. Atta girl.
Sorry, top 625.
How many crew in the game now?
I don't know, but Suit Gorn is somehow worse, even though he was recently released. I do know that much.
I would tell you, Idle, what the hyper sheet says, but I haven't been updating it while on vacation.
Oh no! I should do some notes.
No one needs to admit to anything during this podcast. This is a guilt-free romp through the spinnies. So, in case you're wondering, well, what if I fail these gauntlet matchups? Does that end the voyage or whatever? It does incur an antimatter penalty. So if you keep failing them, your voyages will be significantly shorter. And like we also said previously, it'll break your victory point combo. So I think I can't imagine it won't be optimal to pass everyone. So you're going to kind of be skating on the edge of how can I pass every single one while still maximizing my voyage potential. And so, like I said, I do like this. There's a lot of strategy to think about, not only how you allocate your crew day to day or over the weekend, but then which ones am I going to want to sight. You're going to want to sight up even these bad gauntleteers because that adds the base power that adds will help your voyage score as well. So a lot to think about there.
Well, okay, let's say I have a lot of money. Just imagine a world where I'm flush with cash.
And you went down to look for Goya beans? Yeah. Okay,
I'm going to look for some Goya beans and send them on my Goyage. Now, if you've got a lot of cash to throw at the screen, because the only reason, any new feature has a pay-to-win aspect. What is the dilith? What does dilithium get you in, then? Not to sound like the shilliest person on the stream, but hey.
You can refresh your crew that get fatigued after using them in an encounter. If you don't have any voyage tokens, you can use Dill to refresh your voyage, because I think they make you use tokens first, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, you effectively with dilithium, you can't lose encounters because you just keep. It's like regular Gauntlet. You just throw the 50 Dill on it, refresh it, or whatever. But also taking a step back, because we're looking at the preparation and not just the execution. Using Dill can help you equip a lot of these crew faster by speeding up a canister or whatnot. Not advised, but if you're in a pinch and you're wanting to compete and you're finding yourself falling a little bit behind, but maybe you've got some crew that don't have any slots unlocked, you could quickly get one slot unlocked or two.
So is it one voyage you send throughout the whole event? Or
you mean Goyage?
Goyage,
Yeah,
sorry.
Goyage.
My apologies.
No, I believe you just keep running them for the duration of those 4 days.
I was going to say, because I think, yeah,
because if new players want to keep spamming those 2-hour Goyages, if they have to, that would allow them to still, because they explicitly said we want to have this balance so that everyone, without spending, even newer players can hit thresholds. So that's kind of the baseline for any new event, I would think.
Here's what I'm thinking, as far as if you want to quickly unlock equipment slots on your bonus crew, because I think every event's still going to have like those 3 big bonus crew. Maybe you get your new super rare, you get them 3 out of 4, you throw a citation on them and you throw them through 1 or 2 continuum missions. You get 2 slots open because those are pretty easy. That's 8 missions, 25 QP a piece, and then you can put them back in your Goyage. That's right, I got it right. With 2 equipment on there, and they're going to be getting bonuses. We don't know what the bonuses are going to look like. Is it extra crit? Is it bigger proficiencies? Is it more base? We don't know what they get at this point for having either the bonus trait or being a featured crew or a featured variant. We don't know what the bonus crew get.
it does add to, a lot of people will be getting that crew before, you can see people getting that super rare before the event, spending the dilithium on the packs or buying packs, and then going, right, I'm going to have to maximize them, spend sites on them, or rush early game to try and get them sight to be competitive. I can see that being an influence, especially if the super rare is a significant bonus to the event.
I think the key to this, from Tilting Point's point of view, is they need to nail how it scales into the later Goyages, 10, 12, 14 hours. Because if there's no point to going that long, then people are just going to spam shorter voyages. They're not going to bother refreshing with dilithium, either during the gauntlet or the voyage aspect, and it's going to bomb in terms of making them little money. Because what happened with fleet boss battles is they said, well, we missed our mark. That wasn't quite as profitable as we hoped for. People realized, well, if Valor's going to infinitely refresh, then I'm not going to spend a lot of dilithium to speed it up, and it ended up being a little disappointing for them. So if they can have a big enough carrot at the end of the stick here, and say, like they added with the Voyage Beholds on higher % chance to drop after 12 hours, if they do something like that for Goyages, and you see VP gain increase exponentially or nearly after 12, 14, 16 hours, then you're going to see people saving tokens, spending dilithium, and they can certainly make their money back that way. But I hope they don't make the scaling too flat. Otherwise, there's nothing in it for them, and they're not going to have incentive to continue to add to the feature.
And fleet boss battles not being worked on.
No, fleece boss battles is
fleece,
the
yeah, fleece. Goyages and fleeces, yeah. No, it's such a shame because,
I passed a lot of cheap on this trip. I think fleece boss battles are raring.
It's a bad joke.
Yeah, no, dear. No, I think what a wasted opportunity because, obviously, it didn't make him a lot of money, but it was a great feature, and we were. I think everyone was looking forward to them doing more with it, and it's just such a shame. That...
I just wanted to see more bridges. Like I wanted to build
more
another.
Bosses.
I wanted
Crystalline
to put
Entity.
my TNG crew on the bridge, and then my, DS9 crew on the. Not the bridge because it's DS9, but I'm disappointed they didn't.
Yeah.
That's true. They could have done the Defiant. Yeah, it's a good point.
It's a Star Trek game.
It's funny because they actually had those tiny little passive bridge bonus buffs. If you can just go on YouTube and Google the Paxis demo from 2016 of Timelines. They had that feature in the game and then removed it. It ended up making its way into Star Trek Legends. Don't spend money on that game, by the way. But so they have actually removed features in the past. I think Ben has said before, stuff like the All Frozen Behold reroll. They had that in pre-production and decided to scrap it for various reasons. So they do have stuff that they add or nearly add to the game that ends up back on the cutting room floor. But I find that interesting. All right, let's go ahead and segue now to specific crew because you guys all had some homework on the. What did I give you? 14 hours notice that we were going to be recording this. So some crew that are going to be good on Goyages. And so the first thing to help you figure that out, go to bigbook.app/overall. I love that overalls joke Dan made, by the way. And scroll down to the bottom of that page, and you can set custom weights. And so what I did there is just 50-50 gauntlet and voyages. Go ahead and click personalized score weights. Set that to wherever you think might be successful for Goyages. And then you can kind of go down and see, well, who's good for both. Also, I got to shill hashtag follow the traits because collections, as usual, are going to boost everything. They're going to boost crew for both aspects of this event as well as every other part of your gameplay. So, when you're looking, well, who do I need to max first? Well, Dark Horse might be some big collection guys like Archer, who came out recently with 6 collections. We'll talk about him later today. So you really can't lose by picking collections. But let's go ahead roundtable style in case the connection in that seedy motel room cuts out. Nifty, we're going to start with you. Did you have a couple Goyage all-stars that you think players should be targeting?
No, when I'm not in the hotel, I have some internet, but not the ability to
This is a working vacation, Nifty. I've had enough of your bullshit.
I know. So
he doesn't work.
As I said before, I think I'm probably going to lean towards either the crew that we already have that can kind of be double duty, like your Gary Sevens, or just those gauntlet powerhouse crew, and then you're equipping them up to make up for their low bases, and running those. Those are my sort of first gut feeling options that we have. One interesting thing, this might, I don't know if change is the right word, but so many times we tell people, hey, you want to get good in Gauntlet, you just need these crew. Hey, all you need is 1 star. All you need is 1 star. And now, are you going to also want the 4 extra stars on these crew so that you can start to equip them? Because there's never been a reason to equip these crew until now. You can equip them in Gauntlet, but that's
say the line, Genos.
Equip in Gauntlet. Let the top few people duke it out with the fully equipped crew, and you can still rank high as long as you have the 1 star on the good crew. Yes, you need the crew, but they don't have to be 5-5. Do you need those crew all 5-5 now because of this new event? Maybe. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
And Nifty, you're tap dancing wonderfully. I'm going to give these guys a little bit more time too. Yeah, are there any names that pop up specifically that you're thinking, well, I didn't cite them before because they're Gauntlet crew. I guess I should now. Is there anyone on your personal roster who you've been thinking about? Either a Voyage exclusive like Admiral Black if you haven't done it yet, or maybe one of the Eng Med Sec Gauntlet crew.
Actually, I would say Black is probably the biggest one here. A lot of people, I'm sure, is you know what? Yeah, I never get the drops, but I'm going to pretend that I'm going to let him play out naturally. Eventually, sure, I'll get all 5. Now, those of us that haven't been impatient and just sighted him might want to go ahead and sight him right off the bat.
Speaking of that, shout out to an underused Gauntlet crew that a lot of people probably, he's been in the game for 2 years, maybe they haven't cited, Union Q. Union. He's got 2 good pieces of equipment, but one in particular, his hat. Everybody loves a good hat. And his hat adds both to his dip and to his security, and it costs less than a normal piece. So you can really kind of whip him out to have big rolls, and he's got a med kicker as a tertiary. Might not help anything, but anybody with med, I think, is going to be very helpful.
That reminds me, I want to say defensive blocks has one of those items that it boosts 2 different skills at once.
As a physician.
All the physicians, that's going to be huge.
My thought is someone who you might not have cited if you came into the game a little bit later is someone like a Frantic McCoy, who was a pretty good Voyager on debut. He's still pretty serviceable. I think he's in the high 200s, about 209 right now. But he's also an extremely strong Gauntlet crew, and he has command med, which is great. So sure, he doesn't get the second skill from his physician equipment because he doesn't have any command or doesn't have any science. But he's someone that you might want to consider throwing those 2 citations on, because maybe you don't have a loadout that uses him on ships. He was built for the Constellation, right? He has a position trigger with a big attack boost, but then a lot of people moved on to using the artifact and are just going to use Chances Taking Kirk instead. So Frantic McCoy's a good one in my mind.
Let me take you back in time, far, far away from any kind of new Voyage event, back when they weren't even considering that this was a card collecting game. This was in fact some sort of ship battling crew collect or something, some exclusive Star Trek game that everyone wanted to play. And let me take it back to 2017 when a card was released into the Gauntlet, the first Gauntlet crew, I do believe, and I'm talking about Locutus of Borg, who has steadfastly stayed in Tier 1, has never dropped below Tier 1 as far as I'm aware, at least in not any big book that I'd promote.
Tier 1 in our hearts.
Tier 1 in our hearts. He's still Tier 1. Locutus of Borg has so many collections, which is going to boost you up the lows. He's amazing Gauntleter. He's pretty much in every Gauntlet you could ever have. He's good, he has been on Voyages, but I think with a few quips, he'd get up there. I think with, you've got dip and second and decent proficiency numbers, that average with quips is just going to shoot right up. And I think the fact that he's a natural Gauntlet fit, plus the traits, which obviously are going to be important for the different bonuses, are, he's a good one. If in the however many years it's been, in the 6, 7, 8 years it's been, you haven't managed to get the 5th copy, then maybe it's time you either do your Gauntlet rounds and get that free one out of the achievements, or just bum a sight on him.
Yeah, when doing my homework this last day, I find him an interesting name, because Voyages are obviously going to let you down, but if you need a lot of Gauntlet power, he's certainly there. I think the issue for veteran endgame players is going to be a lot of the overlap with Admiral Black. Their top 2 roles, which are both, big single roles that can handle 1 versus 2 matchups, they're both science and diplomacy. Now, the order is flipped, so, it's not exactly a 1-for-1, but if you're bringing Admiral Black on every Goyage, which you should be if you have him, then there might be a lot of overlap there, and if you're staring down an Eng-Med matchup and one of the few unfatigued crew you have is Locutus, well then, you're out of luck there. So,
remind me, when you send a Voyage, obviously you're sending a 12 crew, but Gauntlet's usually 6 crew. So how are they picking the 6 crew?
You do have all 12 options available.
Oh, you have all 12 as an option. Oh, okay. So in which case, it's good to have a backup. I mean, you're not gonna flush them all, dip side all the way down, are you? It's good to have you can have at least 2 of every good skill pair in that arena. So not entirely redundant.
Yeah, I'm thinking if you're looking for backup, what you might want to do then is have one more focus on Voyages with the same skill set, and then one more focus on Gauntlet. So that way you kind of keep your overall Voyage score high, but when it comes to the encounters, you can still pass those checks with ease.
You've gotten so diplomatic. I remember on Timelines Talks ages ago, I said, what about this crew? And you just turn around and go, what the fuck are you talking about? It's like, that crew is trash.
Look, you may not have.
Who is he for?
I may not have played the game for 5 months and 27 days, but you haven't played the game for 6 months, so I know what I'm talking about, and you don't. All right, any other names come to mind before I vomit my big list of names, Goyage names all over everybody?
Yeah, I kind of like the idea of throwing Boothby out there. He's still a decent enough Voyager. Boothby Replicant. Decent enough Voyager.
Goothby.
Boothby. What did I say? Boothby?
Oh, I said Goothby.
Gooth.
Someone Goyage
Boothby.
now. Everything starts with a G.
Okay, Goothby Geplicant is another strong name that's still got some voyage power. Surak.
Hold on a second.
Was Goothby Geplicant in the men's 10K?
Yeah.
You mean the shot put medley? Have you guys seen Whose Line Is It Anyway? They play this game where they replace one letter of a word with another letter. So they replaced P with G, and they're eating potato jigs instead of potato chips. And then Ryan walks up and goes, "Hey, nice Guinness."
Jesus.
Admiral Glack.
I'm so glad I interrupted you for that. Please continue, Janice.
I miss staying up and watching Who's Line from like 11 to midnight every single day. Those were the
Such
days.
a good show.
Oh no, watch out for the Gadala Gelder.
By the way, for Big Book Podcast Plus subscribers, Frank is eating a can of Goya beans with a spoon right now.
No, those are
Beer
chopsticks.
number 2.
Those are chopsticks.
It's a high protein diet, and they make a good product. I had already done the thumbnail for this episode, but I've gone and pulled a transparent image of unbranded bean can in case it needed to be put in. We might get sued. I'm not sure.
No, that's all right. No one knows our real names.
Not even me.
No. Where was I? A gift to guess. Yeah, an OG mega crew that a lot of elderly players will have, and if you aren't elderly enough, you probably have retrieved him for Gauntlet at some point. Surak or however you decide to pronounce it during all these Trek shows. And I think I mentioned earlier, Dexa, Engmed specialty. No unique equipment, I don't think, but serviceable roles and still a decent Voyager. I hope I didn't steal too many of yours, Mr. Matan.
I got names for days. Let's go over them. First, I want to hit my chalk picks, the all-stars, the ones that you probably should have on every single Goyage. Obviously, Admiral Black. Like, there's no debate here. We thought his value was high when he first debuted. He's still number one overall proficiency by a large margin. What they like to do usually with new number one debuts, like Professor Sato's Diplomacy Base or First Officer Burnham back in 2017, her Voyage score, they'll anchor something a little bit higher and then kind of backfill behind that. So the fact that he's still way up there, they're going to be, when they add new Gauntlet crew, there's a lot of them still going to come in behind his power there. The fact that he's still very good on power on Voyages, you don't worry too much about that skill set. Have him on every single one if you can. If you've been waiting to immortalize him because you think, well, he might drop in Voyages, just bite the bullet. We have Beholds now. We have other crew. Go ahead and immortalize your Admiral Black. So you have the big book okay. Number 2, and probably the most important for new crew, Gary 7. He's not quite the all-star in terms of overall power. He doesn't have a lot of traits, so he's not going to be catching a lot of bonuses, event bonuses. In fact, I find it nearly impossible that he's managed to go, 8 years in the game with 0 event bonuses over the course of the game's history, but he's there with only 4 traits. But the fact that the reason you want him is because he has 2 huge single rolls, which we already talked about the value of that. Being able to 1 for 2 means you're going to boost 2 skills for the rest of the encounter. He is still 100% retrievable. So he's a very high floor, but kind of a low ceiling. So if you're a newer player and you want to try to break into Goyages, he's probably the first one I would target. And then Frantic McCoy, just because of the mix of overall power. There's not a good command primary crew who can compete in Voyages and Gauntlet. And so his secondary being as high as it is will help out a lot. That little splash of med is always good on Voyages, and then, huge diplomacy proficiency, so very good there. A number of kind of med-focused crew. Dexa, you mentioned Mycelial Cobra, who's very similar, a little less power, but gets that unique equipment from physicians. So if you're equipping your crew, he's going to probably come in a little bit higher than Dexa, with some more event-friendly traits. And then Vidala Elder. Gadala Gelder. Huge voyage power. So if you're looking for just a backup to a skill set to pass a few early proficiency checks and you want to boost your voyage power, he's your man. Red Angel, who hasn't gotten brought up yet, not your day-to-day Voyager, but still relative to a lot of other Gauntlet crew, somewhere in ranks in the 200s for Voyages, very good there. A huge science roll, so you can 1 to 2 everything. And we've gotten all these Sec-Eng Med trios recently. Bridge Worf, Suit Gorn, a Metaclon. They all have an Eng secondary too, but their voyage power is craterously bad. I think I said Suit Gorn is like rank 700 or something on Voyages. So if you're looking for a little Eng power, Red Angel will help you out there. Union Q, I'm going to echo what Frank said. Besides just the equipment, he's got a very uncommon skill set and a big single roll. So that'll help you out with security. And there's really no one else who does the Sec Med stuff half as good as he can. For Command Eng, if you want to bring Captain Braxton out of Mothballs, he's actually pretty good for this. He's the only legendary crew in the top 150 ranks of Gauntlet and Voyages. Wait, do I have that right? I wrote that down, so it must be right. He's in former number 1 Voyager, so he's still got reasonable power there. And like I said, the dearth of command primary crew is just, will be a problem. Yeah, that's actually good substitutions. That's pretty good. So yeah, to put a bow on this, because of how the system works, stacking these bonuses, if you have crew that you're bringing along mainly for voyage power with lower proficiencies and run them through the earlier battles to boost your bigger proficiency Gauntlet-focused crew, then maybe you can take down, I think the Borg Queen they showed as the big boss at the end of the encounter had, 800 to 1,000 in 2 proficiencies, and they added a little bit of crit. I think it was 10% crit there too. So you will need those early bonuses to proficiencies from earlier in the encounter chain to buff up your Gauntleteers to get past them. A little bit of strategy and a lot to think about for a new feature, which they said they're shooting for end of August. So you may have another week or two to start prepping things. And ask in your fleet, ask on Discords. There's going to be a lot of interesting ideas floating around there. Fellas, any final thoughts on Goyages?
What's helpful is as long as they don't change, does give you a preview of what the skills are going to be for every battle in the encounter. So you can sort of pre-plan for stacking up against the final boss or the ones that seem to be a little bit more difficult for you. So you can make sure you don't use maybe your crew that has the 2 skills that are going to be used in the final battle early on. Otherwise, you're going to have to whip out some dill and deal with that. Or sorry, Gilithium.
On a side note, how come we've never made a Girth of Izar joke?
All right, Cranky, get on that, please. I need some Photoshop skills. A rotund man, white in the middle, known as the Girth of Izar. All right.
The best thing to say is, by the time you listen to this, they've stated that there will be like almost a mini event, midweek type thing, is a precursor or a flavor taster to the bigger event, Essence of Goya, and yes, pre-cooked, if you will. And they've got to do a client update first. They've been doing maintenance last week, and they're doing it again this week after the event. So in theory, that's leading up to a client update, which then would give us this. So maybe soon. They've been relatively quiet, so we've got no indication that it's being delayed, but we've also got no indication that it's coming.
I think that's Tilting Point's tagline, : no indication.
Right. We have had some teasers of the art for the NPCs that you're going to be fighting in the encounters. So that's all on the
find those teasers, James.
Trek Time server is there.
Discord.
Yes. Oh, sorry, Discord. Right. On the Grek Time server. All right, I'm going to stop doing that now. I think there's some cool ones on there. One I didn't expect to see was the you're going to fight the Logicians from Take Me Out to the Holosuite. There's some Gorn, not TOS Gorn, unfortunately.
You got to replace with a G.
Oh, wait.
Gorg.
GOS Gorn?
I was hoping you'd just say Gorn again, but whatever. Anti-joke, man. It's an anti-joke.
A Gok, as it were.
All right, we're getting dangerously close to things that I'm going to have to bleep out later, so let's...
There's a bunch of, I believe, Hesperian Knights. That's where Billups is from. People watch Lower Decks remember that episode.
I thought you were randomly just going into some sort of history monologue there. It's like, well, back in the Hesperian times, they actually renamed everything with the G.
Well, in ancient Caledonia...
Like I said, it's a working vacation.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm excited to see some of these this art, and most of it looks pretty good. Again, I think they put on these. So, unfortunately, they didn't use her for Stretching Bev, the good artist.
The fact that they put that verb in her name is like it's causing a lot of problems.
You know what's going to happen though. There's going to be a lot of requests for Stretching Troy and the Fusion Crew there, isn't there? Not that
as
I'm
long
putting
as
names
you
out
also
there.
get Stretching Shaxx and Stretching Ransom.
There you go.
Actually, that's the fusion I want.
That should be a whole event. Those are the 4 event crew.
Oh, that's brilliant.
All right, I think we need to cleanse our palate a little bit before we go over a bunch of recent legendary crew. Nifty, we've gotten caught up with what you're doing there in Dublin. I mean, where are you now? Edinburgh?
No, Inverness.
Greater Yarmouth.
No, I'm on the same
Lesser Yarmouth
island as Greater Yarmouth. That is true.
Is it an island? Are we an island? I suppose it is.
Yes, you are an island.
So we have a lot. We have a lot of people in the UK in our community. Did you reach out to anyone before going over there about meeting up?
I had not in the UK. That's very specific. It is not the United Kingdom. I had drinks and a lovely night out with our very own friend of Datacore, Dam.
Drinks with Dam?
I had drinks with Dam. No longer player of this game, but that being said, very much still
avid pirate enthusiast.
Really, at this point, who is?
Is it just me?
I play.
Okay.
I mean, I've been slow on vacation, but I play. I'm a daily player.
Daily player. Frank plays a game with time
and I went
but it's
out
not
for
the
drinks,
game.
in Dublin one night. We tagged Cold. He didn't see it till too late. But he and I went out for drinks. That was quite a lovely evening. Many whiskeys were had. No one had to drive. It was fine.
I've been scouting out restaurants, Nifty. Nifty's in-laws live about 5 minutes drive from where I live. So when he comes visits the great Midwest, we'll have to get together. And
unfortunately, not quite 5 minutes, but.
Frank, what about you? What have you been up to besides eating Goya beans?
And they are delicious, by the way. # not sponsored. I wish I would say I've been enjoying the game Star Trek Timelines, but honestly, I have had so much free time freeing myself, use the word free here as many times as I can in a sentence, from the shackles of day-to-day, mundane, repeated tasks out of frustration for not being able to get Voyage exclusive crew. It's been very nice. I've redone the entire house. It's taken me 3 months, room by room, bit by bit. So Big Butt Book Plus subscribers will see I'm in a different space that's actually not even...
Subscribers is an entirely different thing.
Big surprise. Big
no.
Book. No.
That's like the fifth beep I've had to add.
Jesus.
Big Book Plus subscribers. Anything else you heard was just...
I'm burning the tape on this one.
It was just the gas is escaping.
I've been trying to get this place canceled for years, and I finally did.
I think you just did it.
But yeah, I mean, I haven't gone anywhere fun. I won't debut it today, but behind me there's a very large white case that contains a Holy Grail, not the Holy Grail that Indiana Jones's father drank from, but although that is also over here. But I've been after a guitar for a very, 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 very long time, and it's limited and it's hard to find. And it just so happened I was in Nashville, and I just so happened to be in a moment of free time where you have nothing to do but check your phone. Our 96% male subscribers will understand that. And I looked, and somebody locally had just listed one for sale 30 minutes prior. And I went and met him, and he was a really sweet guy, and we made a deal.
You robbed him blind.
I did rob him blind, absolutely. He was in dire straits, and I left him in even more dire straits.
Turns out it was BB King, and so he signed the guitar for you, right?
I had, so unrelated to anything, I was very young. There was a now defunct.
Right, okay. This is all obviously the prelude to something you've done that's wrong, because you're always like, so I was young, right?
There's a defunct line of cafeterias for those that aren't from the U.S. Basically a restaurant where you go in and there's 100 different like not self-serve buffet line. There's an employee there that will dole out the food that you pick and you take. Usually at shopping malls. And for whatever reason, my parents, being very old people, loved it because the generation that they were from loved that type of food. You go get your liver and onions, it's fantastic. So I was dragged along as a youth to those frequently. And one night we were there and we were in line, and my mother was just like apoplectic over this person next to us. And I had no real understanding why, and she grabbed me by the hand and tapped him on the shoulder and said, "Mr. King, I'm very sorry to bother you." And in my head, I'm a kid, I'm dumb, I'm like, is this Martin Luther King?
I didn't realize you were that old, Frank.
Wow.
And it was BB King and his wife. Yes, it was actually nicest, sweetest man. He in line stopped what he was doing, held up the entire line to talk to me for 5 minutes, and I had very little clue to who he was. Everybody behind us, their food getting cold, not being able to get served, but a very sweet man, except for everybody else that was inconvenienced. That's my BB King story.
Is this a true story, Frank?
Those people are all dead by now.
Mostly true. I was at a cafeteria.
Oh no, it was Burger King. It was Burger King. That's right. Yeah.
I don't like Burger King.
It's a good story.
I went to a Star Trek convention with some.
Other people. So you sent me a picture of.
Too much fun to stream for us.
This is two cranky shout-outs in one stream. But he went dressed as the punk in the Voyage Home.
He did, yes. He was awesome. Do you know what he was getting? He's becoming a bit of a diva through that. Like halfway through, he's like, "Sorry, I've just got to stop for photos with these people." Oh no, sorry, these people just want my autograph. These people just want me to. But he put in so much effort. Credit really goes to his other half, Emma, who did a lot of the work, sourcing things. But he actually found a proper boombox that worked with the big old batteries in it. Found a cassette tape, recorded the song that was written by Kirk Thatcher on there, actually had it, and he was playing at full blast, so he's walking around just flipping people off. It was brilliant. It was really good. He was
robbed. I cannot believe he didn't win.
Was robbed. So yeah, there was a costume competition, and there were some pretty good costumes there. There was the lady that won the best one. She had like some good Cardassian makeup up, and she was dressed up as Garrick Elam Garrick. There were some other ones there, but he just got like a mention, a nod. He wasn't even on the stage at the end. I'm like, Jesus Christ, your costume was easily the best one there. It was, and that's not even my bias because I'm his friend, but like.
So how many Star Trek conventions is this for you?
This is the second. So because we were supposed to go one 3 years ago, but they got cancelled, so we all just had to piss up in London anyway. And then we did last year one at the Hilton, and this year. Next year we're planning to go again as well. We're booking an Airbnb, and I'm driving Stars up.
Oh,
nice.
Because he's booked with us, and he said I need to do it now because if we do it sooner, I'll probably cancel. I said, all right, put your money where your mouth is, let's go, and he is. So I'm gonna meet him in Cambridge somewhere, and we're gonna drive up there, and there's a load of us like Cranky's coming again, so's Seven, and a few others. So yeah, we're gonna have some fun.
Yeah, if this year's had been just a one
Yeah,
weekend
'cause, yeah,
later,
your weekend
I would have popped over
That would have been so good.
on my way up here, but oh well.
So besides the exceedingly poor scoring by the judges, did you enjoy yourself this time?
A lot of fun, yeah. A lot of fun. Blackpool's a shithole, but the convention hotel was okay. So I go to my room. I booked this ages ago, and I booked a room. You know, it's just myself going. So got up there, and it was a ridiculously cheap place, and it's not bad, but there's just bits of the edge. You're just like, oh, okay, you know, this light doesn't work, and you know, the floor's a little bit wonky, and the food's all right. So well worth the cost. But I got up to my room.
All right, it's starting out
Got
well.
the key, got to my room. I walk in the room and I'm like, there's the bathroom, there's the toilet, and I have 4 beds. They had given me a family room all to myself. I had 4 nights there. I had a bed every night. Fresh linen, as far as you can see.
Did you change your bed every night?
I did not know. I stuck to one bed because there was only one plug that was near. There was only one plug near the bedside, and I needed that. So I was like, okay, I'm going to sleep there.
I think they saw the.
That's how I chose my bed in here. There's 2 beds in here, but the one with the plug is where I'm sleeping.
Yeah, it's weird how important that is. You're just like, well, I need to charge my phone, but I also need to look at my phone.
I bought a 20-foot cable adapter just so I can play with my phone from anywhere in the room. I think they probably saw that video of you from the last convention where you're blackout drunk, live streaming to everyone. They're like, he needs more beds.
I've not. Yes, I've not got that. I didn't get that drunk this year because I went early and I was thinking I was the first one there, so the first night. But luckily, I found some guys from the Retrek podcast who had liaised with before, so I ended up sitting up and drinking with them. So when everyone came to see me the next day, I was like, I'm a little bit hungover, but yes, I will have a pint.
Now we're coming full circle on drinks. Cranky didn't drink before he met us, and neither did Stars, who's imbibed a few times since then. So we're corrupting the youth of America.
We are.
I mean,
it's quite funny with Cranky as well because we were trying to do the whole, you know, not paying for bar price. Although they weren't bad, not as bad as as the Hilton was. But yeah, we definitely had he had a thermos of rum, and he just going up to the bar saying, "Can I have a glass of lemonade?" Taking a sip and then just going bloop bloop.
Yeah, he brought like 2 bottles or something. I think he was telling us.
Mm-hmm. He brought so much rum. I got a beer taken off me. Security actually came round. I just opened a beer and they're like, "Oh, you're not drinking outside beverages, are you?" I'm like, "I'm fucking staying here. Of course I am."
So,
got you.
So Genos, you now have to follow up a BB King story, Beer Tears, and Cranky's incredible costuming. Can you do that? What have you been up to lately?
Not a whole lot recently. I mean, I moved like a month ago into a new condo. So you know, for Big Book Plus subscribers, yes, I got it right. You see a different background and no wood paneling this time, so that's nice.
No massive fan.
No big fan. The fans over there.
No, we're still here. We're still here.
But I have something exciting coming up too. I am going to be spending 8 nights in Washington D.C. at the end of the month. I've never been to D.C. before outside of like flying into the airport, so I'm going to look at all the monuments and the museums and stuff. And I'm
so much saluting.
Yes, very very much saluting. I hope I use the right salute. I'm going to use the Terran Empire salute. I hope that's the right one. Yes. Yep, that's the one. And probably try to hang out with DC Pilot at least once or twice.
I thought you were going to say DC Fontana.
DC Pilot lives in DC? Oh my gosh.
Yes, DC Pilot from DC.
He lives outside DC. I've been to his house.
Wait, has he always lived there?
I think so. Yeah, I think that's why he's DC Pilot.
Yeah, well, he flies so much. Whenever we have meetups, he's in like a different continent. So
his career has taken him to the DC region for many years.
Formerly known as San Francisco Pilot.
Right. Exactly.
I don't think he's ever been San Francisco. No.
Yeah, he's from Florida, which is the Florida of the United States.
Yeah, Florida is the Florida of Florida.
Yep. So that's what's going on, and my daughter's about to go into kindergarten, which is very exciting.
Ooh.
So
you'll get some free time.
Well, she goes to summer camp, and so yeah. I just won't see her. She'll be in a different place during the day. Instead of paying daycare directly, I'm now paying my property taxes, which pay for the school. So, yeah.
Civic duty. I approve.
Haha, you said duty.
Goody.
Well, I will say in your favor, of all the people on this podcast right now, you are the one who remembers his children's names. So kudos to you, Genos.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, well done.
I do remember his kid's name.
No, it's just Genos.
Just Genos.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah. So when do we start talking about Star Trek Legends?
Right
on.
now.
Wait a minute.
Awesome.
There was a
So
solid week where
live
I was
update,
playing
there
that
are-
hard recently.
there are 13 players playing it right now on Steam.
I
The
am
24-hour peak
frequently
is 23.
I frequently enjoy crapping on that game, and I try not to go an hour without doing so, or else I get the shakes. But I do want to say, even though they're not going to listen to this podcast, shout out to the two people, that are keeping that side of the Discord alive for TPG and are asking for updates and asking for new crew and new game modes, despite the fact that only one of them paid for the game and the other one got a promotional copy. But they are really invested in continuing this wonderful legacy of a game that's been out for 6 months now, 6 months, and a complete
Has it been that
success.
long?
It's been that long, 6
Wow.
months, and you know that TPG has been able to build another 3 floors on their office thanks to the success of this game.
No, they've been able to build a floor for their office. It used to be just dirt.
Yeah, just standing on the dirt. It's quality
Oh,
dirt,
there's-
good dirt.
There's a dev stream coming up on the 20th, I think. So we might get some updates on what's happening.
I
with
wonder.
this game.
I wonder if they'll go through their premium crew releases, because I remember them saying, people saying like, "Oh, are they going to get any more crew for the game?" And they're saying, "Well, it's going to be a premium release, which is basically DLC, pay for your crew." I wonder if they're actually going to do that, or realize that maybe only 13 people will buy it.
There's a little place in Amsterdam I know where you can pay for premium release. Sorry. I mean,
Oh boy.
I've been there, and
It's not little.
it has delicious chicken.
what?
Now I want chicken. Thanks a lot.
Are we not talking about the same thing?
Okay, let me rein this back in. I have to shout out the inimitable Frank for donating me a copy of Legends, because I sure as hell wasn't going to buy it. And I had fun for like 5 days. I think there's
I apologize.
4 or 5 days of content. And then when you start to look at crew, remember we are big book guys. At one point or another, we have cared about like how crew work and their power levels and whatnot. And I realized that like 2-star crew, some of them are better than 5-star crew, and I'm like, I don't understand the point of trying to collect crew when there's complete nonsense, no rhyme or reason to how anything works. So, and it does get repetitive pretty fast. But for that first week, it was a lot of fun. So if it was like a $5 price point, I could probably recommend it a little more.
That seems right. Five. Well, apart from the teething issues that you can't resize the window, which is a game which you want to be playing in the background while doing other things, is kind of a big thing. Yeah, £5, whatever. That seems like a good price level for that game, because that's about as much effort as there is in.
Yeah, I lasted a few days longer than Otto. That's what she said. And yeah, it got to the point where I just wanted to hit all my dailies, because that game also has dailies, where I'd have my main monitor and I would watch something, I would do something, anything on this screen. And then just like I had to remember to keep clicking. I'd be on 4x speed and auto fight for most of it, and I was just like, oh yeah, I gotta advance that, Well, for those that can't see, I just looked as though I was looking at my other screen.
That was good.
And just, yeah, it's Star Trek. I like Star Trek. I wanted to give that game another try. I did play it back when it was free on mobile, when they had the Apple Game Store thing or whatever.
Me too.
Yeah.
And yeah, I also happened to have a free copy from someone on this stream. And yeah, like I didn't hate it. It was enjoyable. It got too repetitive too fast, and it just kind of seemed like, all right, I already have a good lineup, and I just grind every single day till I 100% the game on Steam, and screw that. So no, I also stopped playing.
Now,
So,
if they were to
mine
add,
too,
if they were to add Goyages to Legends, would that make you pick it back up?
there are kind of voyages. There's definitely like shuttle missions in there.
The shuttle things, those are kind of nice. I like that, because you could get a lot of stuff for not doing anything.
Perfect gameplay.
I think they'd really have to add something that made it feel fresh. I don't know what that something is. That's up to them. I don't know.
According to the 2 players, people on Steam forums, but not the 2 players, have reported getting tokens for characters that are not in the game, and the actual splash screen when you fire up the game is a new ship that's also not in the game. but the devs have said nothing about this. And when asked about it, the community manager changeover happened, and the new community manager didn't know there was a game called Legends. So
incredible.
I think it's
God
an
bless.
immutable. I think it's an immutable law of mobile gaming that the artists are the hardest working people behind the scenes, because there's always
Even
like
art-
a
Ship designing.
there's a splash screen
pretty
or
good.
something, and then the devs are just drowning in bugs.
That sounds like a horror movie. Candyman, right? Arachnophobia? Oh, or wait, no, they're not bugs, right?
I think we're
Spiders
talking
and
about
bugs.
So
Fear
I
Factor, hosted by Joe Rogan.
Oh, right. Thanks. Yeah, that's it.
So I recently read Joe Rogan is like 5'3". Can anyone confirm that?
I'll Wikipedia that right
All right,
now.
hold on.
Haven't met him, but he looks like a 5'3" person. He has the brain of a 5'3"
Well,
person.
5'8" it says. Okay, I take it back. All right, enough about brothels in Amsterdam. I apologize for that, by the way. Let's talk some Timelines crew. We're going to bounce back to that godforsaken game, which Frank would probably say, I can't believe it's still going. But it is, and they just came out with a new Tier 1 crew. Rhapsody, Pike. Subspace Rhapsody, Pike, sorry. Idle, you absolutely loved that. No, I'm sorry. You enjoyed that episode, and then I know Stars loved that episode. Shy loved that episode. It started to grow on me when you see this crew art, him on his knees singing to Captain Patel. Does that evoke feelings, joy, affection?
It does, actually. As someone that has not only I reasonably enjoyed that episode, but also remixed the entire episode into a reggae track, which you can find on the Trek Time Discord, not on the Trek Time YouTube channel. The entire album in reggae style is infinitely better. I think I think the artwork does absolutely capture from the scene, because that is another penultimate moment, and he's sort of like, gets the video cut off as after trying to have their private conversation. I think that's great. I think
Their
that's
private
good. I don't know why it's
conversation.
number one Voyager,
Private
but it's
conversation?
Private conversation.
About
it's about our frustrations. That's going to work so well with the stream delay. Yeah, I like the art. I think it's good. It's a good representation of it, and drawing Anson Mount on his knees is definitely going to please a certain subset of the fandom somewhere.
So no gauntlet, no collection. And so does that give anyone pause? I mean, obviously a Bafo Voyager, but as we look at Goyages and talk about collections boosting all aspects of the game, is he still an auto grab for everyone, or does anyone have a little bit of hesitation here?
He's a baller campaign crew still. I don't think there should be hesitation.
About
for
our
those that
frustration.
don't always get those that don't always get the campaign. Like if you're just a hard I never buy campaign person, then yeah, he's probably not worth finally buying the campaign. But also he's still really, really good. So I don't know if you're really desperate for a top end Voyager, or for some reason.
Why is he tier 1? Because if it's just Voyagers, he doesn't have a lot else going on other than maybe some event use.
I know big
He's
base,
only got 2
especially
collections.
diplomacy is overrated, but he is number 5 dip base on launch. So I mean, he's going to get used. Everybody
I
in the
disagree with
game,
your findings.
everybody in the game will be able to use him. But yeah, if you're not a campaign buyer, I mean, you're probably not starting now. Although, hey, the ancillary benefits of the campaign purchase, if you are one to spend money, are pretty great.
Ancillary benefits.
Yeah, the Anson benefits. There we go.
He's no Gokutas.
All right,
So anyway,
now,
yeah, he's
don't
he's
give
a great
Frank an
crew with great
opening.
art.
That's what she said.
All right, I'll shout out
Anyway,
Danjamin
yeah.
here, who has said previously on this podcast numerous times that he's a little bit picky about his campaign crew. So I think seeing this one in the list would probably make him spring for the Supremium. I can't believe I said that. What are we calling it? The Uber campaign? Yeah, that's
Uber campaign.
The
Uber
Uber
campaign is the right one.
I think he would spring for the Uber campaign this time.
Yeah,
Not a
for
great
those
all-rounder,
that
but
pick
very
and choose.
powerful.
Yeah, for those that pick and choose, this is a pick. You take this one.
Yeah.
And
And
now that we also Idle, I don't know if you remember that the tiers have been expanded, so there are now 10 tier 1 crew. That is part of how he is.
Oh,
tier 1.
right. Okay, so they've increased the
Yes,
threshold.
he
I see.
would be tier 2 under the previous
team.
That's why Locutus is still
I
in
do not
line.
recognize the validity of this new tiering system.
No. We had to change it to keep Locutus in there. That's why it's valid.
Moving goalpost.
Okay, well, fine, I'll allow it.
Yeah, he's a fantastic crew, honestly. I mean, that strong of a Voyager is going to have staying power. Even by the time he enters the portal, for people who are VIP 0, free to play, or just don't spend money on campaigns, he's still going to be worth a retrieval when he enters the portal 12 to 18 months from now. And even his ship ability is somewhat interesting. He's an 8-second instant damage, so if you don't have anybody like that, he's going to bridge the gap till you get a 6-second one with an attack boost. Evasion penalty, but it'll be good for skirmishes.
Yeah, what I said earlier about kind of angering those top ranks, Mir Tuvok released in April of 2023. So what are we on? About 16 months. He's still number 1 there. So Pike slotting in behind him is not necessarily a ding on him. Obviously, that's where a lot of his value comes from. So he should have a pretty good amount of staying power. The Eng secondary will help out a lot with that. Help separate him from the City Alpha Khan and all these, and even Admiral Black, who if you're going to start starring him up, equipping him up, thinking about him on voyages, that's also a pretty redundant skill set. So the engineering will help there.
Can someone explain Scotty to me?
Yes, it is Scotty scuba diving for the remnants of the Titan sub.
But is that from Taz? Because I don't think I've seen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, that explains it. I was just like, what? Why is he just covered in yellow stuff? Okay, that's fine.
If yours is yellow, you should probably get that looked at. All right, up next, Water Polo Archer. Debuts with 6 collections, as we previously mentioned. A lot of green on his scorecard there. And 2 unique equipment items, one for athlete, one for casual. Does that pique your guys' interest when you're looking at new Goyages or even just on regular voyages?
It can only make the case, because if everyone's special, no one's special, right? So base equipment is that analogy. Everyone has the base equipment, so no one's special with base equipment because it's a great equalizer. So when somebody is able to add special stuff, which 550 additional security base with 240 roll, that's nice. And then a little extra command and dip in there, even though that he has no dip, but the command is a cheap little fix. That gives him infinitely more use than somebody else in the same skill tree with the base equipment, basically.
I want to go in the Wayback Machine. I know, Frank, you've been here since the beginning. I don't know if any of you other guys have, but the first, two and a half years of the game, we didn't get a single Archer event. And for one of the captains of one of the series show, that struck me as a little bit odd. And I think people started complaining. Jane was getting like 8 events per year, and Archer would get none. So, Frank, do you remember anything about the dark times before Goyages and Voyages?
Yeah, the joke with Janeway, there was artwork being done because there were so many Janeway events of Janeway in Discovery, of her in a disco uniform like Pike, and she was coming to the game soon. Archer, and it happens in the aforementioned Legends game. There's no Archer there yet. Archer is always the redheaded stepchild of Star Trek captains. Enterprise was the redheaded stepchild of Star Trek shows for a long time. It didn't get the 7 seasons that every other show had, except for Disco and Prodigy, but that's okay. And I think it's not rightfully so, because I think Scott Bakula did a really good job with the role. I think the idea of pre-United Federation of Planets Starfleet and going out in what is effectively a submarine with a mess hall and exploring the galaxy.
Submarines have mess halls, right? Surely they do.
A nice mess hall.
They
with
just
a chef.
cannibalize each other.
With a chef named Chef, do we ever learn the chef's name in Enterprise?
No, I think we see his legs once, though.
It's just
It's Riker.
Chef.
It's Riker all along.
Oh, God.
Wait, no, that episode didn't happen.
What episode?
You know,
Exactly.
unpopular opinion, I actually like that episode in concept, like the objective mode in the holodeck and visiting through history and stuff. It just shouldn't have been the season finale. But I mean series finale, but I do like the episode overall. Are we getting a Windbreaker collection? That's what the people want to know.
That episode would have worked as an episode of TNG, by the way. not only windbreaker, but I love the fact that, you know, he's an athlete. He looks like he's ready to go be at the Olympics right now, to run for the Tellarite team. And as we all know from all being avid water polo enjoyers, security big base, because when you're playing water polo, you're aiming the ball at somebody's face to break a nose, obviously.
They're also fighting under the water constantly.
Yeah.
That is true.
Women's water polo too. It is a vicious sport.
Dude,
Really?
I would last
I've
about
never
20
watched
seconds
it.
in
Is it
water
like the
polo.
ice hockey of water sports?
They're just constantly fighting. It's basically like if it's under the water, the ref can't see it, which the ref can, by the way. But
That's the
it
funny
is-
thing about water. It's kind of
Yeah.
see-through.
It is vicious.
Not the same though.
Refraction, man.
Have you?
That,
Oh, okay, of course, yes.
that happened over
Have you
there, not
guys-
here.
Have you guys heard about this new Star Trek film that's in development from the Andor? I think it's the writers or the directors. That's supposed to be set in pre-Federation Starfleet, but is somehow connected to the Kelvinverse films, and already
Oh,
my
boy.
head is spinning. And I don't understand how that works because there's that time divergence that happened that established that Archer already existed, and yeah, strange and weird places.
I don't know. I've been watching the new season of Prodigy, and I found out the in-universe what they call it is they don't call it the Kelvinverse, obviously. They call it the Narada incursion timeline.
Yes,
Oh,
yeah,
please.
which is fine.
Get a life, nerds. Are they bringing Eric Bana back?
No,
Not yet.
they are bringing Bana Eric back.
No, okay.
Prodigy season 2 was awesome for many
I'm
reasons.
almost done.
By the way,
2 more
we're
episodes.
we're vamping
Oh.
because I don't want to move on to Stretching Crusher with the four of these guys in the same room. But
We could.
please finish your
skip her. I
thought,
mentioned
Frank.
her earlier. I think that covers it.
Of all
Oh,
the
I'll
Star
finish.
Trek, of all the Star Trek villain introductions on screen, other than Khan removing his cowl and looking at Chekhov, who he's never met, and saying, "I never forget a face," thus proving he had dementia, and the whole thing was just probably some thing in his mind, kind of like Newhart. Eric Bana, like opening the view screen and looking at that universe's Christopher Pike. So this is Captain Christopher Pike of the Enterprise. Hello, Christopher. Like,
Yeah, that was pretty good.
I do remember that.
I
yeah.
like that. I thought that was good. I thought that was like unintentionally menacing. Like, it's like, oh, I'm just gonna call you by your first name just to, establish a little bit of dominance. I thought
Well,
that
at least he didn't do the Tom Hardy
wow.
exaggerated Bane voice with it, which he very much could have. But I watched the 09 movie like 11 times. I would just go day after day in the theater to see it because it had been a while since we had any Star Trek, and it was just a fun
Well,
romp,
4
and I was
years.
glad to see it. But hey, when you're a teenager, 4 years
this
is your
day and
entire
age.
life. So,
in this day and age, like 4 years between a film, it's not that bad.
all right, we've got to. All right, let's keep it classy, folks. Stretching Crusher. I have 2 notes here for her. One is the physician quitment, and the other is the arena quote, "Who needs rational when your toes curl up?" I actually like that. That's probably the best bit of flavor we've had in a while, but otherwise, this crew is a little bit bland for me. Only 7 traits, 3 of them stock standard human Federation Starfleet. Is there anything gameplay-wise, gentlemen, that you are intrigued about here?
Yes, who else are you putting on that bridge?
Ooh, good question. I feel like I want crew there that are wearing maybe the 3 Ambo Jitsu crew, perhaps. We have what, Rutherford and Kyle Riker and then Will Riker, right? Yeah, just throw the 3 of them on there.
Will
That sounds
Riker?
like fun. Will Riker.
No, I mean, do you think he will?
He will Riker.
Okay.
Riker, barely met her.
Let's see. She.
Hold on, we're talking about Crusher, and you do a Riker? I barely met her joke, bro. It was teed up for you. You could have done the Crusher joke.
I'm just doing with what I've been dealt with.
No. The most interesting about this crew is the First to Mask. First to Max is by former
First to mass.
First to Mask.
That's faith. That's faith timelines, isn't it?
First to Max.
You get all the
Yeah,
equipment on
right.
Jesus, and therefore you've got you're establishing the roster of people who equipped him first.
Former Timelines Talks guest, Frisky Dingo from the 10F Fleet.
Ah,
We're
well done.
bejoring clapping for you right now.
Mm.
Yep.
All right,
I
Nifty,
actually did.
Nifty,
No,
we
okay, then.
steamrolled you. What did you want to say
No, that's fine. Um, you like how I did that? Got your back. Given what we were just talking about, how you might be now running 2 voyages simultaneously, plus also needing to have your crew that are being used in your gauntlet. She's number 5 in her triplet because her skill set is rather deep, which is odd to say now with somebody that has med as their secondary. But I think she's 5th in her triplet. Oh, you know what? I just looked it up. She is number 2 in her in dip med. So if we're gonna need to put more and more Voyagers out there at the same time, anybody with a top 6 triplet score, or are all the seats the same? Actually, before I continue on with this point, in the voyage event.
What do you mean? Are all the seats the same?
Like, is it 2 of each primary?
Yeah. I believe that's the case.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, like you're still gonna want, you get a little more depth now, where if they're a top, because sometimes we talk about, oh, this crew is ranked X in their triplet or their skill pair, but you're never going to use them because you're going to use the 2 or 3 crew that rank above them already. Well, hey, now we're opening up to 2 voyages, so she's possibly going to get used there. So that's something she's got going for her.
Yeah, this might be the crew that you put on your regular voyage when you have someone like Dex's med dip over on the Goyage instead. So I guess that's where the depth would come in handy. Frank, you're putting together a bicycle over there. What do you? You're missing out on the. Oh, he doesn't even have his headphones in. Hold on.
Yeah, it's got his headphones in.
Hold on,
For
we're pausing.
drivers.
Yeah, we're putting the brakes
Frank
on this podcast.
Furniture.
Frank, you were putting together a bicycle while we're talking about stretching Crusher. What's going on?
He had to distract himself. He couldn't deal with it.
You gotta ride to the store to get more Goya product and get my exercise as the theme of such illustrious crew, which you can stretch this segment all you want out, or you can go to the next crew, which we all know there's no horsing around here.
By the way,
crew.
I want to see Frank on a penny farthing riding to the grocery store. That would make my week. Yes, Horseback Picard, the recurring mega crew, not to be confused with Brokeback Picard. That's a Riker love trilogy we'll get to later, but not terribly exciting for mega recurring. We've had stronger ones before. I don't see a lot of niche stuff here like Gauntlet or great collections. He does have hull repair on an 18-second cycle, which is about as good as you're going to get for most crew, but it's only at 20% instead of 25%. So, if you're already established there, he probably won't break into that. But he does have unique equipment with the Janeway's coffee mug boosting this tiny turt. So if you have a little bit of qubits laying around and you want to just boost them up there, that might help out on voyages. I'm not seeing a ton here, but tell me why I'm wrong, because for a recurring card, that's going to really help out newer players the most.
Are you saying his skills are a little horse?
Aha.
Yeah. I mean, I enjoy the small square version of the art has both him and the horse in it, which is cool. Yeah, right. Because now we have Picard in number 1, and now we have Picard and horse, which is very important. Yeah, I mean he's got the new play. Cool. That's exciting. It's nice to fill that out. He's pretty much tapped out on his collections unless we get romantic, which could always
they still
be.
Put romantic in yet? Oh my god.
No, they still haven't put romantic in, just like your marriage.
Oh. Actually, Idol's been behaving himself. I actually kind of want him to come back, so don't scare him away, Jenna.
I love you. I love you, Idol. I hope I'm still invited to STA on Wednesday.
We'll see.
I've got to say, they did better artwork on this horse than hundreds of other crew, like human crew. So it's pretty impressive.
I might not cite him after the mega. If I'm close on one of his collections, maybe. Their collections? His collection? Yeah. Whatever.
Yeah, shouldn't he have the primal trait, like, for the horse?
Is it considered pet people if he has a horse? Okay.
It should be pet people, you're right. But I would say not primal, because this is Horseback Picard, not Picard back horse.
What is he, a centaur? You can't just mix and match like that.
Could you imagine?
The art on the sweater is fantastic.
That's the
Oh, yeah.
timeline's
And-
original fiction. One.
And his boots are polished too. It's very nice artwork. I'll give him that. Now, I think for the new players, you're going to be looking at the Eng primary, which we have had a couple in recent times. LaForge comes to mind, but for a giveaway, I don't think you can sneeze at that. Even at 4 stars, if you want to leave him at that, that'll help you out. If you are a new player breaking into continuum missions, probably that last star would be advised there, and he'll get events for a long time to come. So you don't have to worry about that.
Let me shout out the artist on this one, not just for the jumper, but just for the horse as well. It's a really good horse, but also as someone that has done like a lot of mini painting, doing like shading on white is very hard. Well, it's not as hard, but you have to know what you're doing. So actually doing it could have been very easy for them to do like a brown horse or something like that. For them to do white, which is essentially just lots of tones of grey, is great. So no, I'll say the horse is excellent.
I was kind of hoping the bad artist would do it. Then the horse would have 5 legs. Oh wait, hold on. The horse does have 5 legs. Oh.
No, that's a tail.
Oh, no, never mind.
I do have a story about
The
that.
other
I
two
could
are
tell.
Picard.
I think I have an
There
accompanying
are
picture too.
4 legs.
They should have had the good artist do Picard and the bad artist do the horse. Just like a stick figure
I like we're not
drawing
even
of a
mincing
horse.
words. It's like artist 1 and artist 2 when we were being diplomatic. No, good and bad artist.
Okay, by the way, while we're recording, Nifty Mittens is making that's what she said jokes in chat. Like, come on. So I didn't see it till
That
now.
was a while ago.
Yeah. That's because I'm focused on the podcast, God forbid. All right.
I also
This is a
made the joke
podcast?
like 45 minutes late after Idle had made his comment. So
All right, speaking of jokes, Bridge Worf's Voyage score, they have a very set sort of mold that they do now with Gauntlet crew. They have to be terrible, like unusable Voyage crew. They're going to have good collection because they have a lot of traits so they can get crit and Gauntlet. And then they're going to have, big Gauntlet power. But this is the 3rd Sec Eng Gauntlet crew we've had in the last, in the calendar year, I guess. Or, well, in the last year. You had a Metaclaw and you had Evie Suit Gorn and now Bridge Worf. So, is it starting to get redundant, or are you guys happy to see him? It blows me away. He has 65% crit gauntlets, so he's going to destroy the field there. He's got 45% gauntlets. Basically, a third of the time when you open a gauntlet, you're just going to see walls of him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see season 3 Picard Worf, and the fact that he's going to be a daily use crew is pretty fun because I think the art is good, even though he's pointing the phaser right at me, which is a little concerning.
Shut
But
through the heart.
Perfect. I mean, he's not going to voyage, but if you're inclined to sight your gauntlet crew, like I might be, because I don't like to play competitive gauntlet anymore. I just like to run it for merit farming and cron farming. I'm going to cite him, and he's a top 100 collection crew, which is all I really need to see for collections. So it's cool. I like it. It's a fun crew, but yeah, little overused with the skill set.
I love the art. I think the art's great. He's not looking at the camera, which is great. They could have done that. Or is he? I can't really tell.
He's looking at his foe.
Yeah, he's looking at his phone, which is cool. I
Almost-
want
he's
to speak
he's
about those
looking
jackets a
down on
little
you.
bit.
It's like-
Yeah, he's looking at
It's the signature look of superiority from Worf.
yeah, Count Dooku. All right.
that haughty
No, it's
superiority.
those jackets, those away team jackets, have become very popular. I remember when Picard season 3 came out, instantly, like people were looking at those jackets, and I was as well. I was like, great, I already want them. They're really nice because they look like you could wear them as a normal person, and not get judged. Is that a Starfleet uniform? No, I'm a normal person. This is a normal person.
It's not a
I'm
pajama.
fine.
Yeah.
Exactly. Until I went, until the last Star Trek convention I went to, and everyone has one. Like literally, this is like one of the most popular like uniforms you can buy out of that era. So I was just been like, I like that jacket, but I want to be common.
I want to be a hipster.
Yes,
Star Trek hipster.
Exactly.
So, like I mentioned, base rank 296. So excellently done, balance-wise. Don't want to make him too strong, but he does have the unique sort of Kalis equipment. So, okay, we've talked a lot about it, but if we're looking at Goyages and you want to have him on there as your proficiency complement, he's not going to help out a lot on Voyages. But with that unique equipment, and then maybe in between or right after the event, you take him into Gauntlet. I think kind of the idea that we're going to see walls of equipment was overblown. That didn't really pan out. People don't care that much about min-maxing. But is that something that you guys are looking to do for yourself? Because he will be undoubtedly extremely strong.
Yeah, I would say he's definitely a good candidate for the Goyages.
Yeah, if you can get 5 copies or you're willing to cite him, because
Yeah, that's true.
it's hard to get 5 copies of the new exclusive unless you're playing Gauntlet pretty hard. I think it took me almost the entire time that Omet Liklan was the featured for me to get the 5 copies, and I was playing regularly to finish him off.
Now, I said, why does that sound like a French fragrance? Oh, mais le glas. That was the joke. I'm so sorry. I didn't
was
mean to
good.
interrupt you for that.
It was very good.
I've got to get it out of my head before I forget it.
I'm running out of pity laughs, Idle. What can I tell you? So,
Just like my wife.
Genos, you're part of a certain team that involves citing Gauntlet exclusives. Naturally, once they rotate out, but is this a crew that you're going to end up citing? You said all you need is the collection value, and he does have that. Are you going to wait until he cycles out?
Yeah, I'll wait till he cycles out because honestly, right now you have a 50% chance of getting him every time you get a jackpot. But once he cycles out, what is that? Down to like a 6% chance or something stupid. There's so
How
many.
crew are there now?
I don't know, 12.
Well, no,
something.
it's always 50-50 because either you get them or you don't.
Right. Yes, it's binary, right?
Oh, casinos must love you.
Yes. Yeah. I'll cite him when he rotates out, and I'll use him in continuum missions. I'll equip him for Gauntlet. I'll probably equip him for Goyages. It's nice that the unique equipment is cheaper too, because those qubits add up.
Speaking of casinos, Frank, you had a legendary run of equipping every crew in the game and seeing how far you can get on voyages. Was that just a phase, Mom, or are you still doing that? And does Bridge Worf titillate you in that respect at all?
I still don't even have Bridge Worf, so I wish I could say, yeah, I'm one of those.
These exclusives are kind of a sore point with you, aren't they?
They are, and I could probably do better, so I don't completely blame the gods of RNG, also known as Ben and Joe, for my misfortune. But yeah, that in theory, having nothing but equipped crew, say that several times fast, because I'm not going to insert the G anymore after my last faux pas. I've already paid the fine. In theory, having nothing but equipped crew to Gauntlet, anytime there's an exclusive or a need, should increase your chances, only because you get more use out of them. Even if it's one more round before they're exhausted or unusable, you can use some merits to find a lowly victim down below that you can smite with your sword of Kalos. But it also, as soon as use them on voyages too, it only helps. But there's so few science and med qubits that are given. Some of the ones that you really want to max out have to sit on the sidelines.
Okay, wrapping things up now with our last crew of the evening or afternoon, wherever you're living. Suit Gorn, a crew that the community helped put together on stream. They released them in a continuum mission right after a Metaclon, another Sec-Eng med crew. So a little bit redundant, but there is a lot to like here with this Gauntlet ability. Another top 100 collection crew over in Big Book. He doesn't quite have the obscene number of crit gauntlets, but he has plenty. He has a pair of 65%, and then over 40 of the other elevated crit sets. So I'm seeing him and Bridge Worf and a Metaclon as sort of crew that you kind of rotate between based on whichever crit you're getting in the gauntlet. Does anyone dissent to that, or is that where you're at too?
No, I think that's pretty good. I guess with a crew like this, where you, through normal playing of the game, and I realize that for some players, completely clearing continuum mission is still difficult. That's fair. But for many people, you clear the full continuum mission set every week. So you earned your 4 copies just by doing what you already do. The big question now is, do you cite them? so that you can start to use him in continuum missions and equip him up, or do you just use him in Gauntlet as a normal unboosted Gauntlet character, and then wait until he hits the portal, and then think about that later when you get him into Behold? I think that's kind of just where a lot of people are at, is do you put that 5th star on him yet? And the answer to whether I did that is I don't remember. I don't believe I did, though. I don't think I have. I don't think I've done it yet. I need to sort of take a look, balance my site budget. He doesn't come up so far to me a ton in Gauntlet, where I feel like I'm bringing him every week and just getting steamrolled by these guys that have him fully equipped out. But then I'm with my vacation and stuff. I have not exactly been gauntleting. I can't open the game on mobile data in this country.
Oh, so. Dude, it sucks up so much. It's the biggest data hog of any app I think I've ever had on my phone.
So for me, the way it works is with T-Mobile, and this is no free ads, but also a free ad. Whatever it is, the plan I'm on, I just automatically get free low-speed data in most countries. So I can send text pretty easy. I can send I use Facebook messaging a lot. Those messages go through fast. Sending photos through text or Facebook Messenger photos go faster.
Is this through WAP?
Like Discord. I can use Discord pretty normally, but uploading a photo on Discord takes forever. So that's where my data is at, and it's free. Part of my already normal phone package.
Yeah, I've had a setup where it throttles down after you hit your data cap. So if you're going that slow, you're saying there's nothing suspicious in you having the top event score of all time this weekend. I think we need to look into that, Nifty.
Oh, you knew I changed my name. Darn. Okay.
42 million points in an event?
Yeah, a skirmish galaxy, no less.
It's normal.
And you took the last 6 hours off to coast and sleep. I mean, that was impressive, too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, like muscle memory in your sleep, it just happens.
Hey, I've been skirmishing while driving on what I view as the wrong side of the road. So,
I did cite him for the collection value, and because I did want to run him through continuum missions, I did want to equip him. I was looking forward to Goyages, because I thought that my initial runs through would probably be with Gauntlet specific crew, and knowing that he has a relatively unique skill set. Granted, I do have a Metaclon finished. I don't have Bridge of War finished, but what's sort of unique about him is his ship ability. It's a +10 attack bonus, but he gets a 425% boom, so a little bit extra handicap for evasion, about -4. But it's interesting. It's an 8 seconds init initialization, so I mean that's interesting to me. And who knows? He could be the herald of a new Gorn collection sometime. First new primal crew in a while too.
I think
8 seconds in it.
8 seconds in it.
I think they just copied triple Koloth and Coraxes. It's also 425. It's +10. It's -4 penalty. The initialization duration, cooldown, all the same. So I think they just thought, we'll do a Gauntlet crew. We'll just copy from one of the existing templates. So useful, but not necessarily unique. You mentioned collections, so to put a bow on this, he's got 5 already. That's typical of Gauntlet crew. He's got 4 more in the hopper: Duelist, Hunter, Crafty, Tactician. I could see them all hitting. We also haven't gotten a Strange New World show collection, which might hit. Could this be one of the first 10 collection crews?
Yeah.
Okay, I appreciate the speculation, and that concludes the in-depth, hard-hitting analysis that you'll only find in the Big Book Podcast. We have been going for quite a while, so I'll see.
What she said.
Which is also what she said.
Okay, I shouldn't do this. I'll cede the floor to you guys. Do you have any parting words? They never market the last episode as the last episode. But I'm just saying, if we never sit around the table again, I wouldn't be surprised. So, do you have any...
I'm really looking forward to Gatelifter Gravis.
That's why we're not doing the show again, by the way. But
well, I hope that the next time we may or may not do an episode, it's not because some of our friends are out there not feeling very well and having issues in whatever might be going on in their lives. So to those specific people, but also, you know what, to any of our listeners that may be going through things, we're thinking of you guys.
The only thing that can get this group together quickly and unanimously is when somebody else in our family needs something uplifting. And to all of those, the three in particular who could be listening to my dulcet sounds right now, and after hearing this adventure we just went on, looking over to their left and hoping that Transporter Chief Rand is at the helm so they can be beamed into a glob. Don't do it. Don't let Rand do it.
No, it was not Rand's fault. It was not Rand's fault. Kirk assumed the controls of the transporter panel when she was already trying to solve the problem. He's like, no, get out of the way, I've got this. And then he...
was that Kirk's station or was that Rand's station?
Exactly. That's what I mean.
I'm sure you're kind and...
He got in the way of process.
Your kind and reassuring words are worth a lot to the people that thank you.
Right. The fact of the matter is, I know, right? We have great affection for our friends who are not feeling well and need some support. And you might say, well, who is this podcast for? It's for you.
Okay, now I'm gonna make him watch it. I mean, listen. He's not a subscriber. I'm not gonna give him the video feed.
All right, fine. I'll pay for it. How many GBPs is it to subscribe?
All right, that wraps up things for August 9th. We'll probably be back in another 6 months, I think is a good figure. Next time someone flashes the bat signal and we need to throw together a Discord group. But in the meantime, enjoy the new Goyages feature. Hopefully that'll breathe a little bit of life and they won't transport or Rand the game into oblivion. On behalf of everyone here and the Big Book, thanks for listening.